I saw you just recorded, or you finished recording for the full album today. Is that right?
No, in the process.
Yeah.
But,
In the process.
Early on, but I guess it's pretty far along, but I haven't gotten all the vocals yet.
Yeah. We're like finishing up the vocals and the production, and then going to be sent to mixing in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty damn close. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I feel like we can just start there. What's the process been like? I mean, you got a new album coming out, so that's got to be very, very exciting.
Yeah. So we just released our third EP, which is called Stories in Glass. And I think that's the first EP that you really, Asher, like produced. And we've been Asher and I have been working together ever since, like, we started the project. We met back in Boston.
It's like 6 years ago at this point.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and the project has been through like various iterations, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
we did have a slight in spelling, big in meaning name change. We were originally Isis Lune.
Okay.
Before ISIS
became,
got it.
Yeah.
And we
That makes sense.
were in Boston like doing a music video, and the guy that we were working on it with was like, just see the front page of the New York Times today. I think you might want to consider changing your name.
I also remember like I was still like debating it, and then I was flying through Canada, and I think I was watching CNN for like 2 hours, and it was all about ISIS, and I'm just like, okay. And then Asher and I spent, I don't know, days figuring out the name, and we each hated each other's suggestion, like really hated.
Yeah.
But then I don't remember who it was, but one of us, maybe it was you, like suggested we just change one letter to Iris Lune, and it just all magically fixed. And it's actually a lot better than Isis Lune. I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot more
because it's I'm a very visual person, and it like Iris Lune to me, it kind of I imagine it being like a colorful aura around the moon. You know, like a source of light that's changing hues and colors, and I love that. That's kind of what our music feels like to me.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a funny story. I feel like there's always those funny like kind of starting stories, you know what I mean? That's definitely one of them. But I think it's for the best. I do. I like Iris Lune. I really
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's definitely better. I had like times and like blocks of time in my calendar that says ISIS, capital letters. I'm like, please, I hope no one ever sees this.
Yeah, totally. Go back like 6 years and delete that out of your
I think I deleted it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I have a No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to talk about the new album that we're working on.
Yeah.
So about, I think it was in October, Asher and I met up and started writing a bunch of songs for 4 months. We
were meeting like 2-3 times a week and like sending each other
like a
stuff
Brooklyn
constantly.
retreat for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been working together for a long time, and it took us a while to figure out like how to work together in a way that really makes us better writers and better musicians, and kind of not stepping on top of, you know, like on each other's toes, and like really allowing the freedom and space to grow. Yeah. And I think that with this album, we really managed to do it.
Yeah. There's a lot of like trying out new ideas and pushing each other, because Ella and I were definitely like co-producing all of the stuff before this, but we kind of had recently changed like the structure of the band, where like originally it was like the image was the band. It was like Iris Lune was the unit.
There's right, yeah.
There's 4 of us, yeah.
Right.
Aaron and Angelo are like members of the band, but now we've shifted to Ella being the focus, and now I've gotten good enough at producing at this point to be able to take on that role, and Ella definitely still contributes to that process a lot, but she's more so the like songwriter, lyricist, and we write a lot of the musical elements together.
And I think that like defining these roles really helped us kind of each really feel comfortable in their own place. And, you know, if Asher has an idea he's like, I feel like this melody is not working great at this point. I'm like, okay, great, let's work on it. Or if I'm like, oh, I just sampled this cool, I don't know, dog barking. Let's use that. So he's like, yeah, let's make a snare out of it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting because I would imagine that being in that process of working with, someone else that intimately for music for so long, you get to know each other really well and you kind of know what you each are going to bring to the table, but still it's kind of a give and take, right? Because, you always have to come together and agree, okay, this is where we want to go with this specific track or whatever that is. So have you guys kind of found a good flow then? I mean, you mentioned that this album, you feel like this is when you really kind of hit a stride with, but what's the process then like working on a track? Is it usually, Asher, you start with something and then you bring it to Ella and you're like, do you hear an idea coming out of this, or what's that like?
Well, specifically with this album, we were really trying to push each other and try and figure out different ways of starting.
Yeah, and stretching our boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're both really into sampling, so that was one thing of like, I gave myself certain parameters for making a track. There was one that didn't end up making the cut for the album, but it was a good example of, I like sampled just with my iPhone this like pipe. It's like in this industrial space, like clinking on the floor. And
he got arrested afterwards.
Right.
Is that
I was making too much noise, swinging a pipe around, like banging things. People got a little scared, I guess. No, that didn't happen. But I like taking that and like pitching it around. We use this program coincidentally that is called Iris 2 by Isotope.
We love
it's like a sample synth thing, which is like a really amazing program. We like Isotope; they're great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Same.
But
sponsored by us.
Sponsored by the official Iris sound pack.
I feel like every time we felt like we were hitting a wall, we were like, okay, you know what? Let's put this aside. We'll come back to it later. If it's not working, it's not working. And that's a really big change from previous times because we're both very particular people. Sometimes it works great together. Sometimes it clashes. And like, I feel like these clashes bring a lot of interesting things because if we don't agree, it means we have to, we both hopefully need to compromise and we need to find a way around it. So it opens up a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
But, there are times where it's just like we both feel very strongly about something and it's just like, okay, let's put this aside and let's try something else. So we tried really, really weird things. I remember Asher was like improvising on guitar and I just took a book and started like singing a melody with those words. And it was actually great. I have no idea what I sang about, but it opened my melodies, I think, in ways that I wouldn't have thought of before because I was dealing with like textures of, words and then,
Well, I mean, improvising in general for us has been something that's like a core of our process. Like Ella and I, back at school in Berklee College of Music in Boston, we met because I was part of a house band. It was like in this like recording set. It was like we'd bring in an artist. There was a house band. We would record them and make a music video of the performance in the same night. Really cool thing. Ella was one of the artists that got brought in. I think you were one of the last artists that did it.
I never got the video.
But we met through that and it just like instantly hit it off. And we got together and like improvised for like, I think it was literally like an hour, hour and a half. Somewhere I'm sure the recording is there. But yeah, we just really enjoyed improvising together. And that's kind of how it all started. And so that I think we had gotten kind of away from for a bit in our writing process.
Yeah, because we both got really into like the, using computers. We both were kind of like sound junkies. So many times songs would start from just, finding a really cool sound and like vibing with that.
Yeah.
But it was cool in this album to like go back and like bring that core of us back.
Our roots.
Yeah.
Going back to our roots.
And this whole album feels like this really great hybrid, like between a combination between the electronic and the more acoustic stuff in a way that just feels very natural.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of sounds that are like samples. I'm from Israel originally, so when I was there last summer, I just recorded a bunch of things. Like I went on a walk with my dad, and I recorded his footsteps, and Asher recorded stuff in Dallas where he's from.
Yeah.
So we used that.
I mean,
that's awesome.
Like the point of this album that we're making right now is to kind of capture everything that Ella has been through in the past bit, and a lot of other things too along the way. But you can speak about that in a little bit. But it's just like finding ways to make every part of the album feel really intentional, obviously, but also really meaningful. Like every sound that we're using on the album, for the most part, that's not like an acoustic instrument. They're all samples of things that are like really meaningful to us.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we basically, my mom passed away about 1.5 years ago, and this whole album kind of came like, that's like the root of this album. And Asher and I, before we started writing these songs, we like sat down, and it was the first time we did this, and wrote down a bunch of words that we want to like define this album that we're going to write. And then every song we wrote really carried that essence. And we ended up writing like, I don't know,
37?
37 like
wow.
seeds, and then we chose 16 to really finish like production and songwriting, and then we narrowed it down to 12 with help of Angelo and Aaron, the other 2 members. So
wow,
it feels very special and a very honest album, I think.
That's amazing. And I think that, you know, being able to have an experience like that to bring so much intention into the music, I would imagine is just therapeutic in doing it, and then just having something that can really, you know, you can step away once it's done and feel that it's exactly what you wanted to do and it's really meaningful is amazing. I mean, that's really, really cool. One thing I noticed from, you know, when I listen to your guys' music is it does, in the best way possible, it seems like 2 different people with very unique ideas are coming together. And I think that, you know, you kind of were expressing that earlier, like you can both be very kind of, you know, like I want it to sound one way, but then when you come together and agree, like you're both happy with the product and the direction a track is going, I think it's really special because it's something that I think can only come, or they can only happen from my perspective, just with both of your unique perspectives coming into a track. So it's really, really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. I think, I mean, in general, like even with the live shows, and that's kind of what makes this project very unique, is that like Angelo and Aaron also come from very different backgrounds musically, and also, you know, like every one of us is from a different part of the world. Or you guys are from the US, but like very different parts of the US.
Very different parts of the US.
It's a big country.
Yeah.
And I feel like, this project is like this mesh of all these stories and all, you know, like what you said. So it makes it really interesting.
Yeah. And
I think fresh for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm constantly, like, I feel like we're constantly just like pulling each other in different directions and inspiring each other.
And I think what's cool about this, you know, because like we were saying, we've been together for 6 years at this point as a band. And I think what's really cool about where we are now is that, like, you know, I'm writing a lot of the instrumental parts for the album, but because I know the other players so well, like, I'm thinking about the bass part with Aaron in mind. Yep. And like, he ends up just being like, oh, cool. Well, yeah, this is kind of what I would have played anyways. And the drums too, you know, I mean, what I was really excited about for this album is that there's like half of the songs on the album are electric drums, meaning like samples and whatnot, or like I do a lot of like field recording of myself like beating on things
on pipes.
It probably looks really strange, but it sounds great, I promise. But the other half is all like acoustic drums. We actually got to go into the studio. Our friend Ben Talmy runs this really awesome space
studio,
called Greylock Studios, shared with Virtue and Vice in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. And he got amazing drum sounds. We're so excited about them. And
Yeah,
they've
Angelo
been
killed it.
really come through. Angelo like came in. We did 7 songs, kind of 8 songs, in like a 12-hour session.
Less, it was 10.
10,
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, he's Angelo's a beast,
Yeah. That's
So it was really cool, like going in, and because the last album there's no acoustic drums on it at all. The last EP that we just put out, Angelo, I ran everything by him, but he didn't actually like play physical drums on that. So it was cool to like really get him to do his thing.
Yeah, it's a different energy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really fun for me to mess with live drum sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it must be very interesting to, because growing up I played in bands, right? So I would record with bands, and I played guitar, and there was a bassist and a drummer, and for some time I played bass too. But it is a totally different energy when you bring people together, and either a recording or having everyone write together. Versus, the solo producer now, what I kind of do in my free time, just sitting in front of my computer. You're kind of locked into one mind at that point. And, I would imagine, and you've definitely expressed it, having all of these different influences from other people in the group, writing with the idea that, okay, I know the other members are gonna react in this certain way just because you've known them so long it's really interesting. And you both must know, as you work on something too, like, if you're working on vocals, you must be thinking how you'll be able to bounce it off and know if it's going to resonate or not.
Yes, but I also feel like I know I sometimes am surprised, like if I think you're going to hate something, you actually love it, or vice versa. Like sometimes, like,
yeah.
Because I think we're also constantly listening to like new music, and, we're like affected by things that we hear around. And maybe if we listen to one thing, like, a year after, it will sound different to us, and we'll be more open to it. I feel like we both really opened up. And
yes, we definitely
and
have.
we're also like we're very particular people. We like things in a particular way sometimes, but we really opened up and kind of giving each other the space to explore. And like, I really feel like you've kind of let me do my thing with like the vocals completely, which is great. And I'm like letting you do your thing, and if we have something that we feel like really strongly about, then we'll definitely express it. But but I think it's important to have that trust and space.
Yeah, and I think that's been the best part about like finding these new roles within the band. Our bass player has been working extremely hard the past couple of years on all of like the logistical stuff, so like the managerial roles, because we don't have a manager currently, or a label or anything. It's like all independent. So he's been like the strategy guy, and he's Aaron's like the most charismatic guy. He's hilarious. Everybody loves Aaron, and he just works so hard, and what he's been able to do has really like freed us up to be more creative. And Angelo is like an amazing like web designer.
Cool.
Yeah.
So he's been helping with all of our online stuff and doing some of the business stuff as well.
Yeah. So we're really kind of doing it all like in-house now.
Yeah.
But like
that's
designated
awesome.
as opposed to like us trying
Everybody's
to like
trying-
figure out something to do.
It's really hard like to be
Yeah.
to be a musician these days, because it's not just about the music, and you have to do so many other things.
Yeah. There's so much to it. Yeah. I mean, do you find then kind of where you stand today that everyone kind of has a defined role, especially on the back end, kind of working in the management and design aspects? Do you want to keep it in-house moving forward? Because so many artists today are realizing like there are benefits to getting signed. It depends on the label, of course, but there's so many artists today that are doing it completely independent. And I mean, now with social media and such, you can reach a huge audience. I mean,
I think it really depends on the
What
deal,
comes
honestly.
along.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd love to get a manager. I think like, Aaron's been crushing it, but it's not like he also wants to just do the music.
right.
And label, it would be great, but like I think it really depends on what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean we've talked to a couple labels in the past, and it's just never been the right thing.
Yeah. I think more than that, honestly, I would be like really excited about getting a great like sync deal or something like that.
Yeah. And, you know, we're working on figuring out what that would look like for us, and you know, putting it out there and trying to think, not like creating music to be synced or anything like that, but like being open to that, and like being open to like, you know, how to even go about seeking that out.
Yeah.
You know,
there's just so many variables and so many things you have to know and learn, and it's really great. Like I always feel like these guys are my family. Like I couldn't be doing this with anybody else, I think. So
yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, you grow. I mean, you grow together, and writing music is such an emotionally charged and draining and intimate experience, you know. So you write with people for so long, and it's and you're spending so much time together, and you're seeing the best and the worst. I mean, I remember it, you know. I remember being in bands and just and working. The collaborative experience is crazy, because I think at its best, it can pull out the best out of people, and you can get something that not one of the components could produce, but everything has to fit, you know.
Totally.
And and that's when it's magic.
I'm a big believer in collaborations, because like what you said, I feel like it can create this whole new thing that could never have, you know, been there otherwise. Which is and it takes time, and I think the most important thing with collaboration is to put your ego aside. Like the ego shouldn't at all be a part of the conversation. Because you're trying to create something that's bigger than you.
Right. Totally. I mean, I've just noticed with myself, you know, if I have, it's funny, like if I'll have ideas, and I'll have people who I would maybe loosely talk about collaborating with or something, you know, there'll be some projects where I'm like, oh, I need to keep this over here, because like this is something I want to develop, you know. It's like, no, just like any of this should go out. You should work with people, because at the end of the day, I think I in particular will be in the same boat, like very particular. And if I start working on something, maybe I'd think, oh, I want to kind of do it in this way. But, you know, you put someone else's eyes on it, and it's going to be completely different, but it can be something much, much greater than you know, what one person could do. And I just, it's funny that way. And also kind of that mentality where the track you have sitting in your lap is like the best thing you're ever going to write. Like I will get in that mindset all the time, and I'm like, I don't want anyone to mess with it. But then it's like next week you'll have more ideas. You know, that's not the last thing that's going to come.
Ideas are great. Like I always feel like they're just kind of floating around us, and sometimes you're like lucky enough to like pull one towards you. You know.
I totally agree. I love getting into that, because I mean, it's so bizarre when you're sitting there, whatever, if you're playing guitar, you're on the piano or whatever, and then some little idea pops in your head, and it's like, where did that come from? You know?
I think for us, writing this album was kind of like, I know at times, at least for me, it was having the courage to kind of like follow the idea through. Even if it like starts off ambiguous and you like hit a wall, like giving it a few chances before you push it aside, you know? And also like when we were stuck, like, you know, because sometimes you get stuck, you feel like you don't have any new ideas. So I think that was a challenge that we like really tried to be creative with. And setting limits, and like saying, all right, we should start a track like this, you know?
Or only like 2 chords and like a melody that stretches on 5 bars. I don't know.
Giving ourselves like weird technical things, and then also like weird like conceptual things for like a storyline, or you know, the improvising, like reading out of a book thing, or
we also did I think Modus Novus. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's this amazing. I'm going to sound very nerdy right now. It's an
atonal ear training book.
No, I love it. Wait, what's it? What is it?
It's an atonal ear training book. Modus Novus.
Okay. And it's really fun. So we just like read a little bit out of it, I think, at one point.
Yeah, like took some melodic ideas that are like built around,
and they're weird because they're like atonal.
Yeah, it's all based off of like intervals as opposed to like a key. So you end up getting these like weird melodies that like kind of make sense because they're related. But like not in a way that we're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or for us at least. Yeah.
That's well that's so cool because I mean like no seriously, like you've come to the right podcast. That's
great. Okay, cool.
Yeah, totally. But I love that stuff because I think kind of what you're expressing is you're working with these different ideas, and my guess is like as you work with these, because it's like you were mentioning like atonal just like differences, so it's going to kind of pull out some kind of interesting, just at least like a spark.
Exactly.
And when you hear that over and over, you're like, oh, I have a little melody in my head. This can turn into this thing and this thing. Yeah.
It's like lighting a match, like, lighting a match and then hoping that it'll create fire.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because that's like the tricky part. When you're inspired and it's great. But I think, at least I know this about myself, that I really develop as a musician when I work on things that I have to like really work hard for them. Like if I'm not inspired at the moment, but I
make yourself push forward.
So that's when and editing, like editing my own ideas. That's when I really make progress. Because when I'm inspired, I'm just inspired and I write it.
Yeah.
And then it's great. And then usually it doesn't need a lot of editing.
Yeah.
But
you can't count on that.
Right. You can't count. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a tricky business.
Yeah. I think luckily we got a few of those on this album that were just like totally effortless, which is really exciting. Those are like a couple of them we've been able to like start playing live.
Yeah.
Even but like way before the production's even close to being done or anything. It was just like, it was like a strong song that just like hit really hard. And we were able to work with that.
I think all of these songs, like I feel like it's the best work we've done.
Yeah.
Definitely the best thing like I've been a part of. And each song can stand on its own without anything, just guitar and vocals or piano and vocals. I think that was a really important thing that we wanted to achieve.
For sure.
Because we were like, I mean, all of our songs could be played, I guess with just one instrument, but I feel like this album is a little different because we approached it with that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love how you mentioned that, where like with the intention of vocals and piano or the melody, and kind of refining it down to a couple components standing on its own. Because I think when you can get that, that's where those really, really, really powerful songs come from.
Yeah.
I think that because it's refining it to the foundation really has to be there with a strong, beautiful melody, and it can be very simple, and that can allow for a really, really beautiful song. And speaking to that too, having that effortless experience. I mean, so many people who I've chatted with on this podcast will say their favorite tracks are the ones that just come easy. They're like done in a day. I know and sometimes they'll have other tracks that go a week or 2 weeks and it takes a long time, but it's those really effortless ones that come out of nowhere, and then it just clicks and it ends up
like
being something.
Channeling it through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that we've been able to like build the skill set together to be able to push through the times when it's not like that too.
Yeah.
So. I think I'm trying to remember. There's an author, I think it might have been from like Stephen Pressfield book, where he's speaking about writing, or it might have been, I'm trying to remember, I might be mixing things out. It might have been when I was chatting with Bill like 5 episodes ago now, but he was saying that the idea is like, you have those spurts of inspiration, which is great, but you have to like sit yourself down every time to be ready for when that comes. It's like you have to sit and work and have like a regimented process, kind of waiting for that time when it's like, okay, something
when
clicks.
It falls into your lap. Yeah.
That strikes at different places along the way.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like for me right now, I'm like wrapping up the production process for a lot of these songs, and we had gotten into kind of this midpoint to show everybody so that we could, break down like what songs are going to be on the album. Mm-hmm. And for me, there's a period where I was kind of stuck. I was not totally sure like where to go with some of these tracks.
Like the last push, right?
Yeah, it was like some of them were like 75% there, but it's really that 25% that makes you like really into the song.
Yeah. And you have to let go. That's part of it too. Like at that 75% mark.
Yeah.
And then the 25 is like, it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like finding like the thing that gives it the magic to like be the final thing that we send off to mixing. And it's kind of funny. Like I made myself work really hard on the songs that I was feeling the most stuck on. And I just kind of like sat in it for a while, like tried a bunch of different things out. And now all of a sudden the ones that were like, you know,
true.
the least amount complete are now the ones that I'm sending off to mixing first. You know, it was kind of fun how that worked out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a really big growing period for me personally. Yeah, I'm excited. It's cool.
Yeah. But it's funny you mentioned that because I've heard it. It's funny. It's like I've heard it so many times where it's like those ones that just pop in your lap and don't take the hours and hours and hours of kind of refining, which I've been there a million times. Like I've had tracks that I sit on and I work on and then I reiterate them, and sometimes they see the light of day, sometimes they don't. And I just think that those ones, I don't know. Maybe it's because a person will listen to it so many times. It's like you lose the freshness or whatever it is. But it's those quick ones that I don't know. They resonate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you lose the freshness at a certain point.
Yeah.
And then you have to like just put it aside and listen to other people's music. That always helps me.
Yeah.
You've been listening to a lot to like FKA Twigs, right?
Yeah, I've been going back and listening to like the past couple FKA Twigs releases. I mean,
so good.
Her most recent thing, Cellophane, I think it's called, is like unbelievable. Andrew Thomas Huang like did the music video for it. It's also out of control.
If you don't know it, you should watch it for sure.
No, I'll check it out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
also, he's been sharing a lot of like behind the scenes things.
Oh, cool.
Which it's amazing.
I still got to check that
out.
But like going back and listening to a bunch of FKA Twigs stuff, because her production is always just so unbelievable. Like she does a lot of it, I know, and Arca does a lot of it. But then also Wyoke, I've been listening to a bunch. They're amazing. I think Ella kind of has like a similar vocal style to her too. Cool. And there's some like really awesome like guitar synthy kind of soloistic things that happen too that I feel represent what I'm trying to say too. So that's been really fun.
Yeah.
And we've been sharing a lot of music as a band recently.
We have a whole playlist called the name is actually silly. I'm not gonna say, but it's a great playlist.
just internally, just to share with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
It's called ISIS.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Definitely not called ISIS.
I
formerly known as.
Yeah.
FKA.
I was gonna say earlier, like we hadn't been talking long enough, so I was like, are they gonna think this is weird? But now I feel comfortable to share. Like, I was making music for a while under the name Hendrix Hurst. So my last name is Hurst, and I didn't want to have my first name because like I'm working the 9 to 5. So I was like, kind of want to stay hidden. And I just didn't realize, but like the logo I was putting out was HH. I was like, Hendrix Hurst. And then someone was like, oh, you shouldn't do that. I had no idea, but like I guess that's like a white nationalist, like Hail Hitler is.
Oh my God.
I had no idea. I had it. Yeah. So I like wiped everything. Yeah. And I don't like I would imagine only the people that know that would know, but like still.
Yeah, you don't want to be confused with that stuff.
Yeah.
No, don't want to
start getting a bunch of weird followers on Instagram.
Yeah, that wouldn't
go down a dark hole.
That wouldn't be good. No. So that was short lived. But yeah, that's funny. I just So I didn't mean to totally derail.
No, that's great. By the way, speaking about names, so actually, it's funny because your name is Dalton Hurst, and we know a Dalton Hartz. Who actually produced
he's been our producer basically until I took it on. And he's mixed everything that we've done so far.
He's amazing
as well.
and we also know him from school.
Yeah, that's weirdly close.
Yeah.
I've only met like 4 Daltons.
Yeah, you're the
so it's like
third one I
uncommon
met,
enough.
So.
Yeah, and then you said
Hearts.
Hearts. That's
Hearts,
real.
Yeah. H-A-R-T-S.
I need to meet this dude. He needs to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
Just chat about having a similar
names.
name. No, that's it's funny. Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, I only know, as I mentioned, I've met like 4 Daltons. My girlfriend dated a Dalton before me, which is like very weird.
Whoa, bro.
I thought you were gonna say my girlfriend's name is Dalton.
No.
Whoa.
So and it was actually when we met, they had like the boyfriend before was Dalton. I was like, oh, this can't be good. Like I was like, she's just looking for Daltons or something, but we've been dating 4 years, so everything's cool. But yeah. So but yeah, I mean, this is super cool. I love everything. Do you have? So you said in a couple weeks, album goes to mixing. Do you have like a rough timeline for release? Did you mention? I don't think you did for release. You don't have to.
I think
commit hard on it, but I mean,
thanks. Yeah.
I
mean,
sorry.
Well,
when's the date?
we're looking for like either super late in the fall/winter or
Okay.
probably next year.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, ideally before, but it's always hard in that like period of the like Thanksgiving, Christmas. It kind of takes an entire month out of like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
You
be
don't wanna
done
release, like,
by then.
We do have a music video coming out in August, which so
Awesome.
with this EP, Stories in Glass, we released one music video, Chirp Chirp, which came out I think a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
then we
was
shot
the first single.
Yeah, and then we shot another one for our song Screenshot. Which,
Okay.
is gonna,
Yeah.
it's gonna come out in August.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
excited
Chirp
about
Chirp.
that
By the way,
one.
that was what I was
Thank
gonna.
you.
Yeah. It's awesome because as I've listened through all of the music, so many different genres come through, so much different inspiration, and again, it's so cool to see how when I'm taking a step back, and I know it's both of you mostly producing the music, just to get that idea that there's this cool or this really amazing kind of collaborative experience between the both of you. Again, I think the music that comes out is really, really amazing. So yeah, absolutely, it's exciting. I'm of course excited for new music. So as you mentioned, kind of end of the year next year. Any thoughts of moving around the country in terms of touring on the West Coast, anything like that? Is that kind of slowly growing?
Slowly
talking
growing,
about
yeah.
it. Yeah. I mean,
That's definitely
Cool.
something we all want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like figuring out what the best way to do it, because there are a lot of things to think about.
Yeah.
Totally.
Touring.
Yeah.
We've been like talking about what it looks like to do the show without everyone being there. I mean, like we kind of, like I was saying earlier, is like we started off just playing, right? So it was like Ella and I started off improvising. The band was like more of a live thing. I didn't even produce electronic music when we started the band at all. I wasn't like that into electronic music.
That's
either.
great. What year was that? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That was 2012, 13.
Yeah, I think the end of
Okay.
12 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, like, so this whole process has been like us getting really well. Ella already was into like a bunch of really cool electronic music, and I was kind of like loosely into it, but like I didn't touch anything except with garage band, really. And so, we were a live band, and I think what's really fun about playing shows now is that we're able to like maintain that when we have our live shows.
Yeah.
It's like our live show is very much a live band. Like, we do play with some backing track kind of things, but like live drums,
synths and stuff. But yeah,
like we give like some solos and stuff like that. It's not like a shred fest or anything, but it's like
you would
appropriate
like it
for the
to be.
music, but it like there's a lot of energy live, and we don't want to lose that.
yeah,
But realistically, if we're looking at getting like opening slots for people and whatnot, we have to find a way to really make it easy for them to want to have us on.
usually they just
and
want
not
like a
have-
soloist or a duo.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
So figuring out the best way to represent the Iris Lune image, and not
Not
lose the
losing
integrity of
Yeah,
what the
because
music
also I
is.
think having like the live feel has this certain rawness to it, and we have like these moments on stage, which I think are really important, you know. Yeah, and I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
So. It's interesting as you mentioned that there's, if you don't mind me like kind of digging a little bit. So you're saying like a lot of times for like starting as like going on and opening for certain people, they prefer like single and duo. Is that correct? Just because is there with
it's just a matter of budget and like line check time, and you know, it just makes it easier.
It's like think about it. It's like if you're St. Vincent and you have this like massive like 9-piece plus setup. I don't know what her current touring setup is, but like, you know, drums, multiple keyboards, guitars, amps, like all the works, right? You're going to take up a lot of room on stage. You know, if there's a, you know, second in line, you know, like the co-headliner or like someone who's
you don't want to mess that up.
You don't want to mess that up. You don't want to like get in anybody's way. They're going to have their gear set up in front of St. Vincent's gear, and then that'll be So it's like, how can we
totally
fit in that? We're not headlining any tours right now.
We would love to tour. Like I think that's definitely something that we all would love to do, and we've toured in the past, but mostly like East Coast tours. But I think something like maybe for early next year or something. Yeah. Or maybe late fall.
I mean, we're ready for it now, but like
we've been ready for you.
We've been ready for forever. But just finding the right way to do it, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting because it is like it's funny how a lot of this it's this balance between the music, it's a balance between, you know, supporting everyone within the band and all these different things, but it's also, as you mentioned, like there are different parameters you have to fit in. Like if you're going to start touring and opening, there's a lot of considerations there as you move forward with management and all of these different things. It's like so many moving parts today with kind of taking the, you know, and growing as a band. It's a lot. And that's another just experience of growing together, because just aside from the music, which you have to kind of learn to grow together, then there's all these different things I'm assuming are kind of being thrown at you right now as you guys grow.
You have to like learn as you go, because no one really teaches you that.
Yeah, totally. Being flexible is like the biggest thing that we've gained in the past couple of years. You know,
You've been flexible with what? With time or with
everything? Like the writing process, being flexible with that, being flexible with like, you know, our live setup, being like flexible with like the image of the band, like being flexible like in every aspect, just
with
being
our egos.
That's what it comes down to, right? Is like having an open mind and just like being willing to do what it takes to get the thing that we've put our lives into to
we're all
take
on the
off,
same
you know?
team. We all want the same thing, basically.
Right.
So
it's again, it's so cool to be able to chat with you guys, to see like it's a totally different aspect. And I apologize, I keep harping on it because usually when I when I chat with people, it's like a one person gig, you know. It's usually producers or sometimes modern classical artists who it's just, you know, it's just them. But it is, as you mentioned, it's amazing when you all are you know, dedicating your life to this thing, but it's a team effort at the end of the day. Like you have to balance with, you know, 3 other people.
Yeah. And I mean, we're also like constantly adding people to our team. Like we have a friend who's an incredible graphic designer, Scott Siskin. He lives in Baltimore, and he did the artwork for our first EP and then like some of the merch stuff. And he did the artwork for this current EP.
I love that too, by the way. It's awesome you guys have it as a backdrop. I love it.
You like that it's like, you see a background, right? You're
like, I love it. Yeah.
And like we've just added a lot of things. We also have our own hot sauce, so he did the label for that.
I meant to ask about that.
This is the hot sauce.
That is so cool. Where did you start with that? Like why what happened with the hot sauce?
Well,
you want to,
or how did it start?
It all started with Aaron, our bass player. He's been hooked on hot sauce for a while, and he kind of it's a problem. Yeah. No, he's gotten better.
I like him already.
He had like, there was a time where I went to his place and he had like 50 different hot sauce bottles.
He has more than 50 hot sauce bottles at any given time.
And he like every time, I don't know, we would eat at a restaurant, he would just like seem like nonchalantly like take a
bring out
bottle,
his own.
yeah, and just like, you know, put it on his food.
Yeah.
So now I have to have like at least 5 different bottles at my house at a given time. Anyway, so he has this. He got us connected with an amazing hot saucier in Canada, Brody Dawson, and he has his own like
Dawson's hot
sauce. It's amazing. And we sort of collaborated with him on our own hot sauce. So it was actually a really amazing process. It started with I think you were away at the time, so it was me and Aaron. Like we opened 20 bottles and we tasted the 20 bottles and just like made a list of all the things we wanted in our hot sauce. You know, like color, how mild or spicy it is. Like I really wanted it to be a little sweet, and I wanted the sweetness to come from a fruit and not from sugar. So we have peach in our hot sauce. We wanted it to be yellow because like Iris Lune, it's all, you know, about the moon. And and then we kind of sent our ideas to Brody, and then he sent us a few options, and it was just like, it's kind of like sending, you know, songs to be mixed. Just
balancing the flavors and getting the recipe right.
Yeah, and
I like it.
It's definitely our best merch item.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's the coolest merch item.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Like it's done better in some ways than like anything else.
That's
like it's
people like to eat. I mean,
people like to eat.
Yeah.
It's a unique merch item, you know.
It is, and I think it's such a cool idea because then it's special. Like as you mentioned, like I love hot sauce. I'm pretty basic. I'll just put sriracha on everything. Like every meal I have has sriracha.
Yeah.
But it's awesome, you know. And I love, like I have to have, my food has to be spicy. But then it's cool to think about. Like you open the cupboard and you're like looking at your different hot sauces, and then one is your guys' group. I mean, that's so cool.
Yeah, and actually, a guy. So awesome. So he actually found out about the music, about Iris Lune, from the hot sauce, because he watches this show called Hot Ones. Do you know about it?
Oh, what? You guys are on Hot Ones?
Yeah, our bottle was...
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
The bottle that's insane.
Yeah, it was. And so he discovered the music, and like, he's awesome. He's, So yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's like a huge, I would be, if I was in your same shoes, I'd be like, top accomplishment on Hot Ones.
Yeah.
I love Hot Ones. That's so cool.
Well, it was kind of,
I had no idea.
Funny. Well, Aaron works, or was working, still working?
No, it doesn't work anymore.
He doesn't work there anymore, but he worked for The Heatonist, which is like a boutique hot sauce shop in Williamsburg.
It's amazing.
Amazing hot sauces. And that's kind of like, he got into it because he was already into sauce, and then of course like moved up really quick and is like super tight with the owner. And so we did like an intimate hang for our second EP release, and just casually, do you know who Chili Klaus is?
No.
I've never. You should look him up.
You should look him up.
Okay, well, Chili Klaus.
He's like
Klaus.
Chili Klaus.
Klaus. Okay.
I believe he's Danish.
I think so.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like a hot pepper like famous dude, and he just happened to
eats hot pepper. Like he's one of the YouTube guys who just eats really hot
so
stuff.
His famous, like his viral video is like he got an entire orchestra to play a piece, and then there was like a big, you know, fermata hold on something, and then they all like ate a ghost pepper and finished the piece.
Yep.
And that was like the whole experiment. It was like, can they get through? And they did it, and everybody's dying like the whole time.
You should look it up.
It's amazing.
That's funny.
Like imagine trying to play the oboe after you. Like cello, fine, but an oboe, It's so much like
any kind of like reed instrument. You're totally screwed.
That's funny.
But yeah, super super funny. Just like random connections to the hot sauce, like spicy world.
Yeah, but I think it also feels like a very natural thing to have, because it's
something that we're into.
And,
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just totally random. Like you have a background in it, something you put your heart into, and people see that too. It's not just some random merch. It's like I put my name on a tennis ball or whatever. It's like this is something honest. Like you guys have a background. and as you mentioned, the bassist worked at a sauce place. It's like an obsession, you know. So
Yeah.
it's cool and it's so unique.
I can't wait to have like 2 more flavors.
Yeah, we are going to be expanding on our hot sauce. It's not just going to stay with Eclipse, which is the hot sauce that we have now.
Yeah.
Do you ship it? Is it shipped?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy some. I'm trying right now. It's still man. Usually I have 2 records of like previous guests on here just to like put stuff on here, just kind of like little mementos. I'm gonna buy one and buy hot sauce. Buy Irish Lune hot sauce. People out there.
Yeah, it's on our website.
If you like sriracha, you'll like this. Because it's also a little sweet. It's not crazy spicy, but it has a little bit of a kick. Kind of similar, I guess, to sriracha. Maybe a tiny bit spicier. But
Yeah, and it's
I like
really
spicy.
good on
I have to like pour. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good on eggs, and if you're not a vegetarian, it's like chicken and.
Yeah, like a lot of things that you would put sriracha on. I think it works really well.
Yeah.
So.
That's so funny. It's funny. I saw that and I made a mental note. I was like, I got to ask about that. And I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up because that's so cool. And just having that experience where people now are learning of your music through the hot sauce has to be so cool because it just shows that this is such a weird, it's the age of social media is so weird because that can happen. You know, people see hot ones, they see your sauce, then suddenly they're looking up on Instagram and they come across your music and then, you know.
Yeah, and you never know what people are gonna like latch on to. So you know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah. So you said there's two more coming. That's the plan at least.
That's
the
the
plan
plan,
right
yeah.
now. In the
I would
works,
love
yeah,
to
cool.
do like a blueberry one or a blackberry.
Ooh.
There's some amazing hot sauces out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I had no idea before I got into this whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we're thinking like a darker color, like a purplish or like a black. There is like a cool coffee.
There's an amazing
sauce.
black charcoal.
Oh, the black
sauce,
charcoal from
Her Majesty.
Queen Majesty.
Queen Majesty. I think she's it's a Brooklyn-based sauce hot sauce.
I can't remember.
I think it's a woman, and it's amazing. It's really good. Black charcoal. You should
charcoal.
After you order our sauce, you should go on to the Heatness website and just like order
just
like
browse.
6. Yeah, or just browse.
I know. Yeah, because now
dangerous.
it's funny because I feel like such a noob. I'm like, I like hot sauce. I just use sriracha on everything, you know. But
you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, and it's developed over time. Like I think, I think it's pretty. I might be just bullshitting right here, but I think it's pretty understood that like if you eat a lot of hot sauce, you like burn your taste buds. So over time you taste less and less. So you start eating more and more hot sauce because now every meal has to be spicy. Like, but I'm also a creature of habit. So I have chicken and rice and sriracha every day for lunch. And my girlfriend thinks I'm crazy because she eats something different every day. But I should switch it up with different hot sauces. It makes sense.
Yeah,
that's.
She'll be proud.
Like,
she'll be proud.
Yeah, that's the variable right there.
Yeah. Chicken, rice.
What do you eat for
different
dinner?
hot sauce. So we will. It's okay. So we're very different. I'm like fly by the seat of my pants, and if we weren't living together, my dinners would just be like totally random. It would be like microwave Trader Joe's stuff, and like, but
bad.
You know, and it would just I would go to the grocery store and have no idea what I'm doing. But she is like such a planner, and it's awesome. It helps us work really well together. That on Saturday or Sunday she's planning out like, hey, what do you want to do for dinner? And she'll come up with ideas. I'm like, that sounds good, you know. So I'm totally like backseat, and she's like, this week we're gonna do this, and she's getting really really good at cooking, which is awesome. I grill. Yeah, so she's kind of in the kitchen doing that whole thing. I'll go out and grill, which I do enjoy doing because I think grilling is it can be more of a feel thing, which I think I connect with more. If it's like, do this, and this, and watch a bunch of timers and stuff, it's not for me. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So, it's totally whatever she decides on, and I'm backseat.
That's cool.
Yeah. Or if she put me in charge, it would be bad. She doesn't eat my food. She likes how I grill, but that's it.
Sure.
Yeah. But this has been cool, guys. I love doing this. I think I said it. I say it all the time, but I think I know. I don't think. I know the coolest part about this is just getting to meet new people. I mean, not in a million years we would have met unless this
That's true.
random occurrences of, I meeting Hannah through someone else, and then suddenly you and I were all chatting, and
Sure.
it's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. I love that about. It sounds stupid, but I love that about like the world. It's just the way it's just the way things work. You never know where something is gonna come from.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I totally agree. And I always say this, but if you would like to at any time come back on, especially around the release of the album,
Cool.
Because that would be a good 6 months, a little bit more, give or take. That'd be a perfect time to do it again.
Awesome.
Sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I would love to.
Cool.
Maybe
I love it.
Maybe then you'll have like the little animals popping out.
Yeah. Just somewhere.
Or do
or maybe
you change it like to a winter landscape?
I should. This was like the most stressful thing I've ever done. It's adhesive, so I could pull it off if I wanted. It's pretty sticky, but there's these strips, and they got off a little bit. I mean, I've never been so stressed out my whole life. It took like 4 hours. It looks like it would be pretty straightforward, but it was horrible. I never want to do it again.
Is that because you
So
were
it's
like
staying
trying to
there.
like not get the bubbles and stuff like that?
I'd knock at the bubbles, and I was trying to do it in one night. I was like,
Yeah.
I couldn't put half up and go to sleep. I would have too much anxiety. So it was like getting done. So this is how it's gonna stay for a while.
Cool. Well, it looks great. Yeah. Then don't mess with that.
Get like
I
a winter
can't touch it.
tapestry or something.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, just change the vibe. Because there's one podcast, I forget what it's called now, Jenna something, but they have a green screen behind them, so the background's always changing. It's a podcast. It's a great idea. I was like, oh, that's smart, but
It's kind of a green screen.
Yeah.
it's kind of a green. Yeah. I wonder if I tried to use as a green screen, there'd be like these weird marks that come out. Yeah.
Could be a
That's
vibe,
funny.
man. I don't know.
Could be. It could be a vibe. I'm going for this like kind of stuff everywhere vibe because that's how my life is. This is like my safe zone, just like junk everywhere. But
Sure.
yeah. Cool, guys.
Cool.
Cool, guys.
Cool.
Cool, guys.
Cool.